From the GoldFish Report. I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I'm here at the White House doing a last final update on the president before returning back to the New York area. Today, the president is already tweeting, and his tweets are wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving to all. We also know, so that was tweeted about 2 hours ago. It's roughly 9:49 a.m. It's very quiet around here at the White House and very quiet in downtown DC. In fact, I've never seen it so quiet, but I guess it's typical for Thanksgiving. The president, as has been reported, is in Mar-a-Lago, Florida, spending the holiday with family. Yesterday, he did get to enjoy a round of golf with Jack Nicklaus and his son, and of course, the president's grandson as well. So that was nice. I think it's been a while since the president's has done some golfing. Also, we want to talk about today that the president will be speaking with our great military. This is another tweet from the president. I'm just going to read it. We'll be speaking with our great military in different parts of the world through teleconference at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Then it will be off to see our Coast Guard patriots and to thank them for the great job they have been doing, especially with the hurricane. Happy Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving to our viewers who I can see are coming in on the live chat. Also, the president, as everyone knows, did pardon both peas and carrots, so both turkeys are off the hook this year. Whether or not he'll do pardoning of any humans this year, it remains to be seen. But I know that that's what the president has said. So he says he wasn't thinking about it, but that he might. Also, we do know that the president has also been tweeting, but I'm going to hold off on that for just a minute because I want to finish our Thanksgiving message, which I thought was very appropriate. We were here the other day during the pardoning ceremony, which was a really great privilege for GoldFish Report to participate in. And I just wanted to read some quotes from the president about this. This is during the ceremony itself. It has been stated that President Abraham Lincoln, Honest Abe, was the first president to grant such a pardon after his son, Tad, befriended the Christmas turkey and implored his father, please, Dad, please save it. So, in this grand tradition, I am pleased to announce that today's lucky bird and guest of honor is named Peas, along with his alternate named Carrots. The children will understand that. The winner of this vote was decided by a fair and open election conducted on the White House website. So this was the president. This is a quote from the president during the ceremony. This was a fair election. Unfortunately, Carrots refused to concede and demanded a recount. President has such a sense of humor. And we're still fighting with Carrots. And I will tell you, we've come to a conclusion, Carrots. I'm sorry to tell you, the result did not change. It's too bad for Carrots. So the president, of course, Ivanka Trump was there with her children as well, and First Lady Melania was just beautiful and graceful as always. And it was quite funny. And I think the president did end up pardoning both of the turkeys. So I think that was a very lucky day for both of the birds. So I do wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving today. But I have two other points of comment to talk about today. The president was also tweeting. Let me go back to that. And this is the first one. Justice Roberts can say whatever he wants, but the Ninth Circuit is a complete and total disaster. It's overturned more than any circuit in the country, 79%, and it used to get almost guaranteed results. Judges must not legislate security and safety at the border. This is a second tweet, continuing that one. Or anywhere else. They know nothing about it and are making our country unsafe. Our great law enforcement professionals must be allowed to do their job. If not, there will only be bedlam, chaos, injury, and death. We want the Constitution as written. So this is referring to the ruling on immigration. And as our viewers know, last week, the GoldFish Report, I did a report regarding this immigration issue. And I'm going to just summarize real quickly what these points are. The proclamation that the president recently signed is based on the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952, subsection B. So let me go to this, and let me just explain that the president, and I'll just review this real quickly because the report is on the GoldFish Report YouTube channel. So you can go there and visit it. It's called Bullet Points. It's a PowerPoint presentation with bullet points regarding the history of the immigration law, how they've been changed and revised over time, and how we came to this, the president issuing the executive order and the proclamation that he has issued, and where he derives his powers to do that from. The comment that the Ninth Circuit Court had made was regarding the entry, port of entry, whether you had to be an illegal immigrant or an immigrant had to be at a port of entry in order to claim asylum. And upon review, and this is not official, this is not an official statement from the administration, but it does, it would indicate that under the asylum in the INA Act 208 under asylum, it does state in the laws, this is what it states in the law. It says, in general, any alien who is physically present in the United States or who arrives in the United States, whether or not at a designated port of arrival, including an alien who is brought to the United States after having been interdicted in international or United States waters, irrespective of such alien status, may apply for asylum in accordance with this section. However, I want to be very clear about this, that this is why we need to protect our borders. This is why the president is very emphatic about protecting our borders. However, that may be the case, the president still has the authority to make a temporary suspension of this. And let me tell you where he gets that from, okay? Let's not forget as well that, all right, let me explain where that comes from, because there's also precedent. There's not only precedent from past presidents who have also cited this very same law, but there's also a precedent established by the Supreme Court. And I'm also going to, highlight that for you, because what's important to know is that the comment that the Ninth Circuit Court made wasn't complete. They eliminated the fact or omitted the fact that the president has the authority to make these temporary suspensions of these policies. And after a 90-day review period, they can renew this if it's in the best interest and safety of the United States. Okay, so let's just go to, and you can go back to the report that we did on this because it goes into a little bit more detail. But just for the point of argument, we have a case called Aborsk versus Reagan from 1986, where the DC Circuit decision cited section 212F, subsection F, from the INA. And it says the executive would not be helpless in the face of such a threat of an alien who posed a danger to the United States but was not excludable under the statutory proclamation safeguard against the danger posed by any particular case or class of cases that is not covered by one of the categories in the old section 212. Interestingly, these footnotes were penned by then Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So we have, who's now, at that point, she wasn't a Supreme Court justice, but she is now. This was the footnotes that she herself penned regarding where the president derives his authority to do this and to suspend and to make these proclamations and the executive order. There is other precedent. There's a Supreme Court actually addressed a section 212 subsection F once in Sale versus Haitian Centers Council, where President George Bush ordered the suspension of entry for aliens coming to the United States by sea without proper documentation. and for the interdiction of certain vessels carrying such aliens. The Supreme Court held that the executive order issued on the basis of Section 212, subsection F, as well as other provisions, did not violate the INA's provision for withholding of removal or the United States obligations under the nation's convention relating to the status of refugees applied to actions taken by the Coast Guard on high seas in enforcing the executive order. There is other precedents as well, and it's all listed in the presentation, the report that I had published earlier last week. So I think that because the court had omitted this fact, these facts, the law, which gives the president the authority to issue his temporary proclamation. As I said, after a 90-day review period, it can be determined if it continues to pose a threat that he can extend that, or he can, renew that. Okay, so this is, it's interesting, of course, to once people do make it to the border, once the president has asked people to come through normal ports of entry, that legal immigration he has no problem with. But again, we only have so many resources, and to inundate, and we can see what's happening in Mexico, to inundate the United States with more people than we can even process, we have the staff to process, is not the way to go about immigration. And I think that most people would agree to that. Certainly, as the president has said, we need immigration because we need people to fill these jobs that the president is making deals with. He's bringing jobs to America. He's bringing, of course, as Larry Kudlow said the other day, this is about supply. So the president's focused on supply in terms of where the growth is coming from in the economy, and so supply means jobs. And so, and of course, this is what the president is in favor of. But we have to be careful that we, do the immigration legally and appropriately, because it's not guaranteed that if someone gets to the border, they're going to be granted asylum. Because if you look at the law, which is cited in the description section of that report that we did on the GoldFish Report. If you look at the law itself, it tells you in terms of granting asylum, there are three main conditions that have to be met. They have to have a reasonable fear of persecution in their home country. And a reasonable fear is defined by the United Nations as at least a 10% chance of persecution. They must fear persecution of five grounds of either race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a political social class. Okay, and so they must also prove the government of their home country is either involved in the persecution or unable to control it. These are the three main categories. And let me just also add that the burden of proof is on the asylum seeker. So there's a process that the people who are working for the immigration are going to, they basically have discretion to weigh the credibility of these statements for any evidence that's provided. It's very specific, and if you want to go to Happy Thanksgiving, I see everybody's messages there. If you want to go to the report, it's very easy. There's a link there in the description section. You can highlight it, and you can go right to the law, and you can study each section on your own. And I do encourage people to do their own research so that they can have an educated conversation about this. Because what we want to do is get the facts right. That's what's most important, is what are the facts. Opinions don't really matter unless they're Supreme Court opinions, because that's based on law. But we want to get the facts right. And what they're eventually going to do with the credibility determination is, considering the totality of the circumstances and all relevant factors, a trier of fact may be credibly determined on the demeanor, candor, or responsiveness of the applicant or witness, the inherent plausibility of the applicant or witness's account, the consistency between the applicant or the witness's written or oral statements, and there's a whole list. So there certainly is a process involved for this, but let me also state that there is also a very long list of exclusions, people who will be excluded immediately. Like if you're a member of a known terrorist organization, if you have a criminal history of, felony and things of that nature, there's many reasons why you could be denied asylum. So, it's not as easy as you think. It's not just like you show up and you're guaranteed, it's not going to be that easy, but still it's a process that will overwhelm our system and will make it very difficult for our officials and people who are working with ICE to process the people. And this is why it has to be done in an orderly fashion. We've never seen anything like this before, and there's many who feel that, this was. There's, of course, Judicial Watch had a reporter embedded within the group of these migrants coming up through Mexico. And they said this is majority of people who are coming up are men between the ages of 18 and 45. And most of them are seeking jobs, new employment. I'm sorry, folks, that's not on the law. You cannot seek asylum based on wanting a job. That's not how it works. That's what HB1 visas are for. So this is the reality of from my reporting, from the facts based on the law that's written right here, from the facts, not opinion. So I just wanted to be clear about that because the president is absolutely acting within his authority to issue this, and if it's necessary, the president finds that there's a reasonable threat because this is the people who were with Judicial Watch also reported that there were gang members within this group. There were people, violent criminals, who intended to come to the United States, carrying their own flag, not wanting to leave that persecution, but and leave that flag behind and start a new life in a new country. They weren't carrying the American flag. So folks, this does, I think the president does have the jurisdiction and the authority to do what he's done. He obviously did it. And again, there's definitely some people who would be barred under this, and it's a very, very long category. And again, this law is cited in the description section of the video. You can go to that and take a look. It's a very long list, but it's broken down into sections, so you can, study each section on your own. Also, I just wanted to say in terms of some other precedent that was established by the courts regarding this presidential proclamation power. We also have in 1950, the Supreme Court in U.S. XL Knopf versus Shaughnessy, 1950, held with regard to the pre-INA statutory scheme that contains similar provisions that there is no question of inappropriate delegation of legislative power involved here. The exclusion of aliens is a fundamental act of sovereignty. The right to do so stems not alone from legislative power, but is inherent in the executive power to control the foreign affairs of the nation. This passage was cited by the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California, and there was Christopher, so it's Del Canto Poplar versus Christopher from 1996. So there's another case there that's also citing that. There's lots of citations at the end of the article as well, and I just wanted to give everybody an idea. So, there's basically people who, you don't have to like everything the president does, but you have to trust his judgment. He was legitimately elected by a majority in the country because the majority of people felt that he had the acumen to make these decisions. And so I wanted to bring that up because the president did tweet that today. So those are some background facts regarding the president's position on this and where he gets his powers from to do so. But today is also another occasion. It's also the 55th anniversary of the assassination of our beloved President John F. Kennedy. And it's a somber moment and reflection to even be here and be among the this historical and honorable White House, where the president spent a few years of his life. And there was a special report that the GoldFish Report did earlier this week with Professor McKnight Emeritus Jim Fetzer regarding the Zapruder film and the fact that this Zapruder film doesn't look like it's an original um, source. In other words, it's many different pieces. According to Jim's analysis, it's many different pieces of film. And I just have a few questions that I want to leave our viewers with because you have to ask the question who and why. You know, the single bullet theory doesn't work. And Jim Fetzer goes through a forensic analysis of the scene and where the eyewitness accounts were. And this isn't the place to try this, but I wanted to remind everybody that, President Kennedy, and of course, in this report we did, I paid homage to President Kennedy. And I did quote, I brought up a video clip of the president's address to the American Newspaper Publishers Association from 1961. And he had some very poignant quotes and statements that he made in that particular speech called The President and the Press. And you have to wonder, what was President Kennedy talking about when he referred to that we are opposed by a ruthless and monolithic conspiracy around the world? What was he talking about? What was he talking about when he said the word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society? What was he talking about when he said there was a plot to enslave every man, woman, and child? Now, I've quoted this many times because this is a very special day to me, because it's also my birthday. So I have a very special relationship to that particular speech. And I'm very privileged and grateful to be here and presenting that today, because we will never forget President Kennedy, and we will never forget who was responsible for, or at least that there doesn't seem to be there doesn't seem to be a final conclusion. The Warren report was kind of like the 9/11 report, really didn't tell you very much. And I think there's going to be a lot of investigation that's going to continue and that's going to come out regarding really very, very highly trained academics who look at this evidence and say, forensically say, this was pieced together. These films are not original films. These are edited films. What's the real story? What can we really say about the book depository entrance? Who was there? Who are the people involved there? And I think that it's in everyone's hearts to find the truth, to find the answer and the facts, not the manufactured facts, but the actual facts. And we do talk about this on this special report. And I do encourage all the viewers to tune into that and to watch that, because it is a very investigative report that was done to try to understand the events of that day a little bit better. But we will never forget our beloved President Kennedy. We will always hold him dear in our hearts. And in many, many ways, I feel that that those quotes from that speech are still elements that we're dealing with today. As Sean Hannity said on his report, referring to the deep state, that there is an element of infiltration within our society, perhaps government. And I think that once this FISA declassification happens, we're going to understand. We're going to see that there's going to be some revelations about how people within certain organizations work together to pursue a political agenda rather than doing their job. So we will wait for that to happen. And that's basically my notes for today's report. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to the GoldFish Report's Road to the White House. We are very privileged and grateful to be here. And we will continue to report as long as the viewers are supporting this. And don't forget to go to the goldfishreport.com, where all of the links to our videos and all the various platforms, social media platforms, the links are provided there. But I also wanted to make one last comment that, the premise that people build a business on social media and rely on these large corporations like Facebook and YouTube and then find themselves arbitrarily deleted, like all of their work suddenly disappeared. Okay, suddenly, and this is what happened to the GoldFish Report on March 5th of 2018, this year. YouTube arbitrarily deleted the GoldFish Report after 3 years of 200 reports, video reports, that is, millions of views, thousands of viewers, subscribers rather, and it was all lost. And we had to start from scratch. And now, as we start from scratch, we are shadow banned. The reach is throttled, so we're not reaching as many people as we used to. The subscribers have trouble finding our reports. And this is real subversion. I mean, in my opinion, these are antitrust issues. It's certainly acting in bad faith. That's again my opinion. But when you have these monopolies, when you have these companies, and I do hope there's going to be a ruling to break them up because they're too big. They're destroying the alternative media and the people who are trying to uh, be independent digital soldiers, as General Flynn said. These are an army of digital soldiers, and it's getting harder and harder to do that when you have these companies acting in bad faith, making arbitrary decisions to block, ban, shadow ban, and even delete your channels. So our blogs, we had 3 blogs, those were deleted as well. So we are suffering consequences. The GoldFish Report must be doing something right. I would say we must be doing something right if we're so much of a threat that we need to be deleted, shadow banned, blocked, and you name it. So I'm looking forward to that Department of Justice investigation into this. I know the president made comments about it the other day. He said what Facebook is doing is terrible, and he also commented that Chuck Schumer's daughter is working there too, and that there was some other things going on. So, look for those quotes. They were tweets, I think, and actually they were statements as he was leaving to travel to Mar-a-Lago. So, folks, it's it's up to the viewer. This is a viewer-supported channel, so it's up to the viewer to spread this information far and wide and post it to your groups and post it. And this is another thing that Facebook does is they arbitrarily block you from posting. So if you're legitimately belonging to groups who welcome your posts, your reports, and your stories, and you begin to post your reports to these pages, they arbitrarily, like, what are these community standards? We don't know because we don't have any recourse. There's absolutely no way to dispute. There's no way to dispute these, I guess you would say, charges against you that you violated some kind of community standards. There's no way of knowing what that is because it seems very arbitrary. Simply, if you're a conservative, and GoldFish Report is a conservative channel, I would definitely agree with that. But I think we try to be fair. I mean, I'm not trying to take a side. We are not taking a side. We're conservative in terms of following the law, and if that means being conservative, then that's what it means. Yes, sometimes laws need to be changed and revised. I absolutely agree with that. I'm an American first, so that's what matters. So, but this is antitrust, in my opinion. I think this has been stated by many people, and also I think it's bad faith. Because let's not forget about the YouTube shooter. That story disappeared and went away because it was highlighting what the practices of YouTube were. People are learning to make money. They're being little entrepreneurs and they're creating channels. And apparently, the shooter of this at YouTube had an exercise channel, and people could follow along to her exercise. And that's wonderful because people need exercise and people need motivation, people to follow, people that will help motivate them to exercise. It's a good thing to do. And she had lots of viewers, and then they started to hide her posts. People weren't reaching them. They cut down on YouTube, allegedly. Okay, this is all allegedly through her own comments on her videos. She wasn't reaching as many people, and her views were being knocked down. And if you monetize your channel, it's all dependent. What income you receive from that is dependent on how many subscribers that you have and how many viewers you have. And that number never seems to be accurate. It really always fluctuates for some reason. So it's quite unusual. So, when they act in a way saying somehow they either tell you or they don't tell you, so either they tell you you violated community standards, or just suddenly you notice your numbers are different, then you don't make that money that you've been working hard to make. So, I think it was an opportunity for people to supplement their income and maybe start a business from scratch. And in America, that's the greatest thing you can do here is we have that freedom to be an entrepreneur and start a business. And if you want to work hard, you can go. There's what limits? Who knows what limits there are? But that is working against, that undermines when our channels are shadow banned, or when our subscribers are removed or deleted, or our channels are deleted. That destroys your ability to continue to generate income, because once we established a second channel, we actually also had to upload our archives. So we have over 300 reports, and they're video reports, folks. So these are not, it's not only print work that we do. We do a great deal of video work, as you know. So the important thing is to spread the information far and wide. We have a lot to work to overcome. We have these big companies who are trying to work against people who are trying to create a business and earn a living. And I think it's really sad to see this, that they're, in my opinion, abusing their power and limiting your viewers and subscribers to have access to your point of view. Which is, again, I think, if anything, if there's ever been a First Amendment violation case, it would seem like this would be it, especially when there's so many conservatives, even on Twitter. Even the president has said this numerous times, that conservative voices are being censored, and I'll tell you, people don't like that. Americans don't typically like when we're deliberately being uh, censored and banned from our First Amendment, uh, any of our constitutional privileges. We don't like that generally. So stick with the law, and I think these are going to be very big cases, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what developments are going to happen in the next week with the administration, and I'll be back in the New York area to report on that. And so this was an awful lot to report on today, and it's a day to give thanks. I am very grateful to be at the White House, having the opportunity to sit among the press, uh, White House press, and report to our viewers. And as the digital soldiers that General Flynn talks about, and independent citizen journalists. Well, we're more than citizen journalists because we're a corporation, so we're a legitimate company. But we're among the digital soldiers. There's many people out there trying to get the truth, trying to say, look, these are the facts, and maybe take another look at this. Consider these facts. Take another look at this issue, because what we want to keep in mind is, we want to stay united. We are the United States, and we want to stay united, not divided, because when we're divided, they can conquer. Whoever the opposition is can conquer the agenda, can conquer the people. So we need to stay united and feel stronger that way. And on this special day, we also want to remember President John F. Kennedy, and pay homage to his legacy and his memory, and thank him for his service. And I believe that many of his policies, and much of his agenda, much of the things that were concerning to him, do concern President Trump. And I know that President Trump was also very good friends with John JFK Jr. And I know this is must be a very personal issue to him. And when I have the opportunity to ask him, I will ask him those questions. And I did try to ask the president a question as he was leaving and departing on Marine One the other day. Asked him what he was most thankful for, but apparently he didn't hear me. So I just have to learn to speak up a little bit more. So I want to thank all of our viewers for viewing, and wish everybody a very safe and a happy Thanksgiving. We also did a report yesterday about a Thanksgiving message of gratitude, and with author Vicki Werner. And it was a very interesting interview, and I really suggest everybody watch that if you want to keep peace at your Thanksgiving table this year, because it really puts, into perspective how not to get into arguments and how to, while you're at the Thanksgiving dinner with relatives you haven't seen in a long time, but it does help to keep the peace. And that's what Thanksgiving's about, being thankful, keeping the peace, and being safe. So having said that, I want to thank all the viewers for helping on the road to the White House and getting us here this week. It's been a privilege and a great honor for me to be here and to represent the people. So in the people's house. So what a privilege. So I want to thank everybody. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and we will be back just as soon as we can to continue covering from the White House. And having said that, I want to thank everybody for viewing and wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Sorry, my hand went right in front of the camera there. I have to learn how to do this differently. But we'll see you all next time. Thank you for viewing.